in January 2026, and this is the first time that the CBE curriculum has now transitioned to grade 10 in senior school. The students who are starting their grade 10, they are the pioneers, and for the next 3 years, they will be in senior school, and again, they will be the pioneers to sit for an examination that will take them to college. So it's a very consequential year, as has been since the beginning of the CPE. Now, the challenge that is there, as we have had it in every year that the CBE is transitioning to a new class, is that there's a shortage of books. There has been a problem of preparedness so that the schools have received the material they need, the textbooks, and so forth. And this problem has something to do with poor planning in terms of the payment of suppliers of books and other education material. So if the government has not allocated the money, or rather provided the cash, so that the buyers, the institution that buys the books, they have paid their suppliers, publishers of books, how do you then expect these publishers to publish the books and deliver them in time for the grade 10 that has just started? So the problem has something to do with the movement of money. It has something to do with the government not meeting its objective, not fulfilling its promise to send money to schools, to send money to the agency that buys books for schools. And that creates a problem. Indeed, the problem of books is not the only problem the education sector is having. Every secondary school, every primary school, every junior secondary school, they are faced with a huge crisis. And the crisis is every year, for example, for secondary school students, every child is supposed to receive into their school account 22,700. That is what was in the budget. But during the last 4 or 5 years, we have seen that money, though it is in the budget, the new cash that goes to the school is like 60%. So the schools have planned, they have already spent in advance, they have ordered books, they have ordered food, they have ordered the things they need, laboratory equipment, and yet they end up with no money or inadequate money, which means they owe suppliers, and those suppliers are expected to supply from where? Some of them take loans from banks based on the local purchase order, OLPO they have received. And then when they don't receive the money, the interest rates in the banks increase. So some of these suppliers are becoming bankrupt because they did not receive the money for what they did, and therefore the bank is demanding their money and they have not received. And yet we expect that at the beginning of the year they will be available to supply. So what then that means is that they look for other suppliers, and then those other suppliers end up in the same. We have a crisis, and what we would urge the government to do is to meet your obligations, to plan. Whatever is in budget should be equivalent to the cash that you have. You need to plug the holes. There is too much leakage of money. We saw, and we commend the Ministry of Education, the current officials, for doing an audit, and who found that there were some ghost schools that were receiving capitation. They don't exist. Some people schemed to steal money entering schools that don't exist, and that money gets sent and they withdraw it on the other side. Now that the Ministry of Education did the audit and they were able to weed out these schools, we will hope that the capitation will go smoother this 2026 year than it did the previous year. That is our hope. But at the same time, those who misappropriated, those who schemed such a scheme to have goes to school so that they can steal public money for their own selfish interest. We should see the DCI and other prosecutorial agencies move with speed to prosecute them, and where possible attach their property and recover the money so that it can go to the education sector. That is what a responsible government should do, and we hope that this will happen because it has caused untold suffering, not only to the principals and the boards of management, but to poor services in our education sector. Because when the money doesn't come, it means that students don't receive adequate services.